The Switch has had an insane run. From RPGs to platformers to open-world masterpieces, this console has it all. So let's count down the 25 best Nintendo Switch games you absolutely need to play. Let's get into it. The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. For the first time ever in a mainline Zelda game, you're not playing as Link, you're playing as Zelda herself. The story kicks off with Link getting swallowed by a mysterious purple rift right after saving Hyrule, and suddenly, it's Zelda's turn to step up. Strange rifts are tearing through the kingdom, pulling people and places into a void called the Still World, and Zelda, with the help of a little fairy named Tri, gets a magical staff called the Tri-Rod. Instead of a sword, you use this rod to copy objects and defeated enemies, called echoes, and summon them whenever you need them. Stack beds to climb walls, summon monsters to fight for you, bind yourself to flying creatures to reach new areas. There's a sword fighter form too, letting Zelda briefly go full warrior mode, but it drains fast. The puzzle solving is incredibly creative, and the top-down HD art style looks gorgeous. Live Alive is a legendary JRPG from 1994 that was only ever released in Japan on the Super Famicom until 2022, when Nintendo finally brought it worldwide in a stunning HD 2D remake. The premise is wild. Instead of one story, you get 7 completely different stories set across wildly different time periods: prehistoric times, feudal Japan, the Wild West, the far future, a martial arts dojo, a sci-fi spaceship, and a modern fighting tournament. Each chapter stars a different hero with their own unique gameplay twist. The ninja chapter is all about stealth and avoiding kills. The western chapter has you setting traps to defend a frontier town. The sci-fi chapter is basically a horror film with no traditional combat at all. The core battle system is a grid-based tactical RPG, but every chapter remixes it differently. You can play the 7 chapters in any order you want, and once you finish all 7, the game ties everything together in a way you genuinely won't see coming.
You're done!
Triangle Strategy. You play as Sarah Noah Wolfort, heir to a noble house caught in the middle of a brutal conflict between 3 kingdoms fighting over 2 resources: salt and iron. That sounds simple, but the world building and the political tension in this game go incredibly deep. Think Game of Thrones, but in a gorgeous HD 2D pixel art style. The strategy combat is grid-based and extremely tactical. Positioning on high ground gives you range advantages. Flanking enemies from behind guarantees critical hits. And elemental chain reactions like freezing water, then electrocuting enemies standing in it, can flip entire battles. The most interesting mechanic, though, is the scales of conviction. At major story crossroads, your allies actually vote on what to do, and you have to convince them one by one before the vote locks in. Metroid Dread is tense. Like, genuinely tense. You play as Samus Aran, an intergalactic bounty hunter, sent to a remote alien planet called ZDR after a distress signal suggests a deadly parasite thought to be extinct might still be alive. The moment you land, things go wrong. You lose most of your abilities and you're being hunted by 7 terrifying robots called MI, each one nearly unkillable in its zone. The core gameplay is classic Metroidvania. You explore a massive interconnected map, unlock new abilities like the Morph Ball, Grapple Beam, and Plasma Cannon, and use them to open up new areas. The movement feels incredible. Samus slides, dashes, wall jumps, and counters enemies with a melee parry system that's deeply satisfying. The MI sections flip the script completely, turning this action game into a stealth horror experience where one hit ends you. Super Mario RPG on Switch is a full remake with gorgeous 3D chibi-style visuals, updated animations, and a fully rearranged soundtrack by the original composer Yoko Shimomura. The story starts with Mario heading to Bowser's castle. Classic stuff. But then, a giant sword called Exor crashes into the castle, scattering 7 star pieces across the world and booting everyone out. Now, Mario has to team up with unlikely allies, including Bowser himself and a mysterious puppet named Geno, to collect the stars and restore Star Road. The battle system is turn-based, but adds a timing mechanic. Press the button at the right moment during attacks, and you deal bonus damage. Time your defense, and you take less. The new triple move system lets your party of 3 unleash spectacular combo attacks by filling up an action gauge. Xenoblade Chronicles. You play as Shulk, a young mechanic living on the back of a colossal, frozen giant called the Bayonetta, locked in eternal battle with another titan called the Mechonis. When his home colony is attacked by mechanical enemies called the Mechon, Shulk gets his hands on a legendary sword called the Monado, a weapon that lets him see brief visions of the future. That future vision mechanic flows directly into combat, where you can see incoming enemy attacks and react to prevent them. The combat itself is real-time, but strategic. You position your party across huge open fields, build chain attacks, manage party aggression, and use arts abilities on cooldown. The world is absolutely massive. Bayonetta has entire ecosystems, floating continents, glowing forests, and ancient ruins to explore. The Definitive Edition added a brand new epilogue chapter that continues the story. Pikmin 4. You crash land on a planet that looks suspiciously like Earth, but miniaturized, and have to rescue survivors scattered across colorful outdoor environments. You command tiny plant-like creatures called Pikmin, each with different abilities. Red ones fight, blue ones swim, yellow ones conduct electricity, ice ones freeze enemies, and glow Pikmin that light up dark underground caves. You toss them at enemies to swarm and defeat them, hurl them at objects to carry treasures back to your ship, and use them to build bridges or unplug drains. The addition of Ochi, a loyal dog companion, is a game changer. He can charge at enemies, swim with Pikmin on his back, and sniff out hidden items. There's also a full day-night cycle, and at night, you defend glowing Luma candies from ravenous creatures in horde defense missions. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. This is a remake of the 1993 Game Boy Classic, and it's stunning. You play as Link, shipwrecked on a mysterious island called Kovolent, an island no one ever seems to leave. The locals live peacefully. A giant egg sits on a mountaintop, and a creature called the Windfish sleeps inside it. To escape, Link must awaken the Windfish by collecting 8 magical instruments hidden in dungeons across the island. The gameplay is classic top-down Zelda, solve puzzles, find items, battle bosses. But the world has this strange, dreamlike quality to it. Nothing quite makes sense. There are Mario enemies here, townspeople who seem to know more than they're letting on. It builds this haunting atmosphere that sticks with you. The remake adds a gorgeous, toy-like art style that makes everything look like a miniature diorama. Fire Emblem Three Houses is genuinely unlike anything Nintendo has made before. You play as a mercenary named Byleth, who becomes a professor at a prestigious military academy called Garreg Mach Monastery. The academy is split into 3 houses, the Golden Deer, the Blue Lions, and the Black Eagles, and you choose one to lead. You spend months teaching students, building relationships, going on missions, and exploring the monastery between battles. Then everything falls apart. The story takes a dramatic turn that changes everything you thought you knew, and depending on which house you chose, you play through completely different versions of the war that follows. The strategy combat is grid-based, with permadeath on harder difficulties. Losing a unit means losing them forever. You can use abilities to turn back time, a limited number of times if you make a mistake.
Too slow. Next time.
Astral Chain is one of the most stylish action games on Switch. Developed by Platinum Games, the people behind Bayonetta, it drops you into a futuristic city under attack by interdimensional creatures called Chimera. You play as a rookie cop in a special police unit called Neuron, and your weapon is a Legion, a chained chimera that fights alongside you. The gameplay is genuinely creative. You control both yourself and the Legion simultaneously. You can order it to attack independently, use it to zip around enemies, bind creatures in its chain, and switch between 5 completely different Legion types: a Sword Legion, a Gun Legion, an Axe Legion, a Beast Legion, and an Arrow Legion. Each has different abilities that change your approach entirely. Between action sequences, you also do actual detective work, investigating crime scenes, talking to citizens, solving puzzles. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It's the first traditional 2D Mario game in over a decade that feels truly experimental. Each course hides a Wonder Flower, and when you grab it, the entire level transforms into something completely unexpected. Pipes grow legs and start walking. Mario turns into an elephant. The screen floods with 1,000 Goombas. Gravity flips. The level itself starts singing. Every single stage has its own wonder effect that you never see coming. On top of that, the movement has been expanded. Mario can now do a wall slide, crouch jump, spin jump, and ride Yoshi in new ways. There's a range of playable characters too, including Daisy, Toad, and even Nabbit. Online features let you see ghost outlines of other players in your world and leave them power-ups or encouragement. The difficulty curve is generous early on, but genuinely challenging later. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. You travel through 6 different islands to take back home. The level design is phenomenal. Every single stage has its own theme, its own visual identity, and its own set of tricks. You swim through crumbling shipwrecks, swing across burning savanna, race through collapsing minecarts, and dodge enemies in flooded ruins. The game has 2-player co-op, where a second character rides on DK's back and can be launched as a projectile. The physics feel weighty and exact. Timing your rolls, jumps, and barrel launches feels incredibly precise and satisfying. The game is genuinely difficult. Some of the later levels are brutally hard, but every death feels fair. Funky Kong on Switch breaks the difficulty curve a bit with extra moves and hearts. David Wise's soundtrack is one of the best in gaming. Pure platforming craft. Animal Crossing New Horizons hit at a specific moment in 2020 that made it mean more to people than most games ever do. But even outside of that context, it's one of the most relaxing and creative games ever made. You move to a deserted island, and slowly over real-world days, you build it into a community. You fish, catch bugs, dig up fossils, donate to a museum, decorate your house, and gradually reshape the island itself. The terraforming tools let you move rivers, raise mountains, and place buildings wherever you want. Every day brings something new. A new shop, a new villager, a seasonal event, a new piece of furniture. The game runs on a real-time clock, so morning looks like morning and nighttime has crickets. Trading items and visiting friends' islands online became a whole social ecosystem. It's not a game with a goal in the traditional sense, you make your own goals. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. The story sends Kirby through a mysterious vortex to a post-apocalyptic world where nature has reclaimed the ruins of a modern civilization. Think shopping malls overgrown with jungle, theme parks abandoned to monsters, and frozen highways crawling with enemies. The main mechanic is Kirby's classic copy ability: swallow enemies and steal their powers. Now, with an upgrade system called Evolved Copy Abilities that transforms them into even more powerful versions. There's also Mouthful Mode, where Kirby inhales things too big to swallow. Cars, vending machines, entire flights of stairs, and waddles around using them in hilarious ways. The game is bright, warm, and genuinely easy to pick up, but it hides excellent challenge in optional missions and unlockable boss rush modes. 2-player co-op lets a friend play as Bandana Waddle Dee alongside Kirby. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. It's one of the most purely enjoyable RPGs on the Switch. Mario receives a letter from Princess Peach telling him about a hidden treasure in a seaside town called Rogueport. He heads there, gets the map, and starts collecting crystal stars to open the ancient Thousand-Year Door. But things get complicated fast. The Paper Mario series is known for being witty, self-aware, and genuinely funny, and Thousand-Year Door is the peak of that. The battle system is turn-based, with action commands. Press A at the right time to do more damage or guard against hits. And crowd mechanics, where the audience cheers you on and you can play to them for extra power. Mario's paper form lets him fold into a plane, slip through cracks, and turn sideways to avoid damage. Different partners join you over the game, each with unique abilities for both exploration and combat. There's a reason Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best-selling Switch game of all time. It takes the already excellent Wii U version and adds the full battle mode, all DLC tracks, and eventually the booster course pass 48 additional courses from across the franchise's history. The racing is tight, fast, and chaotic in the best way. Each track has its own theme, its own shortcuts, and its own anti-gravity sections that let you drive on walls and ceilings. The item system keeps races unpredictable right until the finish line. A perfectly timed blue shell can flip the whole top 5. 2 players can play together on a single Switch screen, or link up to 8 Switches locally. Online play keeps it alive with regular competition. The 200 cubic centimeters speed class makes every track a white-knuckle sprint. Smart steering assists make it accessible for kids or first-timers. The most polished and imaginative entry in the Luigi's Mansion series. Luigi and his friends are invited to what looks like a luxury hotel for a vacation, but it turns out the whole thing's a trap set by King Boo. Now Luigi has to ascend the hotel floor by floor with his vacuum, the Poltergust G00, to rescue his friends and defeat the ghost bosses controlling each floor. Every single floor of the hotel is its own themed environment. A pirate deck, a haunted garden, a medieval castle, an Egyptian pyramid, and each one has its own boss ghost with a creative gimmick. The ghost-catching mechanics are satisfying and expressive. Stun with your flashlight, slam the ghost into the ground, and vacuum them up. New mechanics include a suction shot that grabs and yanks objects, and a gooey clone of Luigi called Gooigi who can slip through grates and spikes, solving puzzles Luigi himself can't.
Oh, yes!
Bayonetta 2 is pure, unfiltered action game excellence. You play as Bayonetta, an Umbra witch who kills angels and demons with guns strapped to her hands and her heels. The story sends her to a realm between heaven and hell after a friend's soul is taken to Inferno, and she fights through armies of both celestial and demonic enemies to get it back. The combat is the star. You build combos using punches, kicks, and gunshots, and the central mechanic is witch time. Dodge an attack at the last possible second, and time slows around you, giving you a window to unload massive damage. As you land hits, you build magic to unleash devastating wicked weaves and summon enormous demon attacks. The combo depth is staggering. There are dozens of weapons, each with its own moveset, and mastering them all takes serious commitment. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is messy, ambitious, and deeply rewarding if you give it time. The world is a cloud ocean, with giant creatures called Titans floating on the surface, and every civilization lives on the back of one. You play as Rex, a young salvager who bonds with a legendary blade named Pyra, a living weapon with a soul, and sets off on a journey to reach the mythical land of Elysium at the top of the World Tree. The combat system is the most complex of the 3 Xenoblade games. You control party members who auto-attack, while you time arts abilities to extend combos, set up elemental bursts, and chain finishing moves called driver combos. On top of that, every character wields blades, spiritual beings with their own personalities, abilities, and quest lines. You pull blades from core crystals, essentially like a gacha system. The main story blades are phenomenal, but the random ones vary wildly.
You need heater! I'm not done here! I will grow stronger still. I wish the battle could have been avoided.
But that's war for you, I suppose.
Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is one of the best games you can play on Nintendo Switch, because it offers 2 fantastic adventures that feel completely different while sharing the same polished gameplay. In Super Mario 3D World, Mario and friends set out to rescue the Sprixie Kingdom through creative levels packed with clever platforming, hidden collectibles, fun power-ups like the Super Bell, and memorable boss fights. Every stage introduces fresh ideas, keeping the experience exciting from beginning to end, whether you're playing alone or with friends in co-op. Bowser's Fury takes a different approach by placing Mario in a seamless world where you freely explore islands, collect cat shines, and face the massive Fury Bowser during dynamic battles that constantly change the environment. Together, these two adventures deliver outstanding level design, smooth controls, rewarding exploration, and endless charm, making this an essential Nintendo Switch experience that never stops putting a smile on your face. Metroid Prime Remastered. You're back as Samus Aran, stranded on the alien world of Talon 4, after chance encounter with space pirates reawakens a deadly, mutagenic substance called Phazon. The game is a first-person Metroidvania. You explore an enormous interconnected planet, discover new abilities, and use them to open up previously inaccessible areas. The visor system is the heart of everything. Switch between combat visors, thermal visors, and scan visors to interact with the environment in completely different ways. The scan visor lets you analyze basically everything: enemies, walls, lore tablets, building up an encyclopedic log of the planet's history just through exploration. The remaster upgrades every single texture, model, and lighting effect while adding full dual-stick controls. It still feels genuinely atmospheric and isolated in a way few games manage. Breath of the Wild redefined what open-world games could be. You wake up as Link with no memory, no weapons, and no direction. Just a vast, stunning world called Hyrule stretching out in front of you. A voice tells you to defeat Calamity Ganon. Everything else is up to you. The physics engine is the foundation of everything. Almost every material in the world behaves realistically. Wood burns, metal conducts lightning, wet surfaces get slippery. You can cut down trees to make bridges. You can grab a shield and use it as a sled. You can cook ingredients into meals. You can climb literally any surface as long as you have stamina. Shrines scattered across the map each house a self-contained puzzle or combat challenge, rewarding you with spirit orbs to upgrade your health. The 4 divine beasts are massive mechanical dungeons that you can solve in any order. Super Mario Odyssey is the most inventive Mario game in decades. The story sends Mario across a huge variety of kingdoms, a massive city, a desert, an underwater paradise, a food world, chasing after Bowser, who's kidnapped Peach for a forced wedding. Your tool for everything is Cappy, a sentient hat who comes alive and can be thrown at enemies, objects, and even people. When you capture something with Cappy, you become it. Capture a bullet bill and fly around obstacles. Capture a Cheep Cheep and swim faster. Capture a T-Rex and stomp everything in sight. Capture a human photographer to discover hidden photo spots. Every kingdom has its own set of power moons, hundreds of them, hidden in impossible to predict places. Some are in plain sight. Some require trick jumps. Some unlock after completing quirky side tasks with NPCs. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Hyrule is mostly the same map, but ancient ruins called depths now stretch below the surface, and sky islands float high above. Link wakes up in those sky islands with a new set of abilities. Ultra Hand lets you grab and fuse objects together, Fuse lets you attach materials to your weapons and shields, Ascend lets you pass through ceilings above you, and Recall rewinds the motion of any object in time. The building system completely changes how you approach every situation. Need to cross a gap? Build a boat, a raft, a flying machine, or a rolling contraption from scattered planks, fans, rockets, and wheels. The freedom to solve problems however you want is genuinely unlike anything in gaming. The story digs deep into the ancient history of Hyrule in a way that's far more emotionally resonant than its predecessor. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. The world of Ionios is born from a war between two factions, Keves and Agnes, where soldiers are born, fight for 10 years, and return their life force to a flame called the Flame Clock when their time runs out. Nobody questions this. It's just how life works. You follow 6 soldiers, 3 from each side, who discover a terrible truth about their world and band together to fight back. The story explores themes of mortality, purpose, and what it means to live, and it does it with more emotional depth and intelligence than almost any other game out there. The combat builds on both previous Xenoblade games. 6 party members fight simultaneously, each filling a role like attacker, defender, or healer. Interlinking lets 2 characters merge into a massive Ouroboros form for powerful attacks. Chain attacks build up across the whole party for massive coordinated combos.
Enemy's broken away from me. Come here! I'm gonna stop for you! Crush out!
And that's the top 25 best Nintendo Switch games. From cozy islands to emotional RPGs to world-redefining adventures, this console delivered. Drop your favorites in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.